Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that's pretty much invisible but protects, well, everything you do online. We're talking about information systems auditing.
I mean, think about it. We trust our entire lives to these digital systems, our money, our health records, you name it. But what's really stopping things from going wrong? What's the guarantee that our trust is actually well placed?
Well, that guarantee comes from a process called an information systems audit. And the people who run these audits, they're basically digital detectives, going deep inside an organization's tech to make sure it's all safe, sound, and actually doing what it's supposed to. So how does this digital detective work? Well, just like any good investigation, it doesn't start with kicking down doors. It starts with a plan. A blueprint for the entire case laid out before a single system is even touched. And first things first, our detective needs a badge, right? This comes in the form of something called an audit charter. It's the official piece of paper, signed off by the top brass, that gives the auditor the green light to go in, access what they need, and ask the tough questions. Okay, so this whole planning phase really boils down to 4 key steps. First, you've got to understand the mission. What's the company even trying to do? Then, and this is so critical, they do a risk assessment. It's like a detective figuring out where the crime hotspots are in a city. This lets them zero in on the most vulnerable areas, define the scope of their investigation, and then build their strategy. It's all about focusing their energy where it'll have the biggest impact. A big part of what they're looking for are the system's defenses, and these usually fall into 3 buckets. You've got your preventive controls. Think of these as the walls, the fences, the locked doors. Things like passwords and encryption that stop bad things from happening in the first place. Then you have detective controls. These are your alarm systems, your security cameras, stuff like audit trails that scream, hey, something's wrong when a breach happens. And finally, corrective controls. This is your emergency response plan, your data backups, your recovery plans, the stuff you use to fix the damage and get back on your feet. Any good system needs all 3 working together. All right, so the plan is set. The risks are mapped out. Now it's time to get out of the office and into the field. The real investigation begins, gathering clues and collecting evidence. A lot of times, the investigation kicks off with what's called compliance testing. And really, it's asking a pretty simple question. Are people actually following the rules? You know, if the company policy says you need a 12-character password with symbols, is that what employees are actually doing? It's all about making sure the controls they wrote down on paper are being put into practice day to day. Okay, but following the rules is only half the battle. Next up is substantive testing. This goes way deeper. It's not about the rules anymore, it's about the data. Is the information itself accurate? The auditor might actually go in and, say, recalculate the interest on a bunch of loans, or follow a single financial transaction from the moment it's created to the very end. They're looking for cold, hard proof that the numbers are right and the data is solid. But look, let's be real. In today's world, with systems that process millions, even billions of transactions, our detective can't do this with a magnifying glass and a notepad. It's literally impossible. They need a serious, high-tech toolkit to see what's really going on under the hood. And that toolkit has a name: Computer-Assisted Audit Techniques, or SATs for short. And these are some seriously cool tools. You've got things like snapshots, which, yeah, they're like pictures that follow a transaction on its journey. There are audit hooks, which are like little digital tripwires planted in the code to flag anything weird. They can even set up an integrated test facility, basically a secret dummy account inside the live system to see how it handles fake data. These aren't just tools, they're the auditor's secret weapons. Okay, so the fieldwork is done, the evidence has been collected, all the clues have been analyzed. What now? It's time to write up the final case file. The investigation all comes together in one formal report. And this isn't just a simple summary. The audit report is really structured. It clearly lays out the objectives and the scope, then it gets into the meat of it, the findings. It points out exactly where the weaknesses are. But here's the most important part. It doesn't just say, this is broken. It gives concrete, actionable recommendations on how to fix it. And even better, it includes a response from management saying, okay, we hear you, and here's our plan and our deadline to get this fixed. It creates real accountability. So we've walked through the whole digital detective case, from planning to the final report. But why should you care about all this? What does this seemingly invisible process actually mean for us in our everyday lives? Well, for one thing, this isn't some obscure niche topic. It's absolutely fundamental to the entire world of IT and cybersecurity. The process we just walked through, it makes up a massive 18% of the Certified Information Systems Auditor exam, and that's one of the top, most respected certifications you can get in the field. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
But really, here's the bottom line. Every single time you use an app to check your bank balance, or you log into a health portal, or you trust a service with your personal photos, you're benefiting from the work of these digital detectives. They are the guardians of digital trust. They provide the assurance that lets our entire digital world function safely and reliably.
And all this leads to one final huge question for our future. As AI starts running more and more of our world, making decisions on its own, how do we audit that? Who or what audits the algorithm? How can we be sure an AI is fair, unbiased, and secure when we don't always understand how it thinks? That, right there, is the next great mystery for our digital detectives to solve.